Can you imagine trusting someone so deeply that you marry them without ever seeing their face? No colors, no eyes, no expressions, just their voice, their words, and their soul. That's how Elena stepped into marriage. A woman who had never seen a sunrise, never seen a mirror reflection, but carried more light in her than most people with sight. Her story was supposed to be a fairy tale, but on the very first night, it shattered into something unthinkable. And yet what happened next turned tragedy into one of the most powerful stories of redemption and kindness the world has ever seen. Elena Matthews was born in a small snow-covered town in Ontario, Canada. Her eyes had never opened to the light of the world, but her mind painted stories brighter than most artists could imagine. By the time she was 12, she could play the piano like a seasoned professional. She would sit at the window, her fingers dancing over the keys, imagining birds, clouds, and trees not by sight, but by sound. Her parents had died when she was 17, an icy road, a truck, a night that changed everything. But Elena didn't break. She simply listened harder. She lived alone after that, quietly, independently. She cooked, walked to her job at the community center, taught blind children how to read Braille, and played piano in the evenings for anyone who stopped to listen. Her neighbors loved her, not for pity but for her strength. She remembered every voice, every scent, every change in weather. But beneath her quiet smile, there was one thing missing, someone to truly share her life with. And then came Daniel Wolfe. Daniel wasn't the kind of man who sought out love. He was the kind who believed everything could be bought. At 39, he was a real estate giant with homes in Dubai, London, and New York. His life was polished, manicured, and cold. He dated supermodels and hosted charity galas, but nothing stuck. Nothing felt real. Until one snowy evening in Toronto, when his business partner dragged him into a holiday fundraiser at a local center for the visually impaired. Daniel rolled his eyes. 15 minutes, he muttered. That's when he heard it. A soft, warm melody from an old upright piano. The room was dimly lit. A small crowd had gathered, and in the center, seated with her head slightly tilted, was Elena. Her fingers moved like water. Her face held a peace Daniel hadn't seen in years. He stopped mid-step. Something cracked open inside him quietly. He didn't understand it. The crowd clapped. Elena smiled. Then she spoke. "Music is how I see the world," she said. "I can't see your faces, but if you clap for me, I'll imagine you're smiling." Laughter, tears, applause. Daniel didn't move. He stared. He didn't even notice when his partner nudged him. "Earth to Daniel? Who is she?" he whispered. "Elena Matthews. She teaches here." That night, he didn't leave in 15 minutes. He stayed for 3 hours. Didn't say a word, just watched and listened. The next day, he sent a silent donation, 50. No name, no note. But Elena knew. She felt things, changes, shifts. When he returned the following week, she sensed him before he spoke. "You're the one who stayed," she said without turning. He froze. "How did you?" "Your shoes," she smiled. "They make a quiet scuffing sound. And your cologne smells like sandalwood and worry." He laughed despite himself. From there, a strange, beautiful friendship bloomed. Daniel visited weekly. He never mentioned who he was. They talked about music, travel, fears. She told him how the world felt to her, how rain sounded like tiny drums, how sadness smelled like old books and closed windows, how love was like a song you couldn't stop humming. He was enchanted, and for the first time in years, Daniel didn't feel empty. After 3 months, he confessed his name. She didn't react. "I don't care who you are," she said softly. "You listen when I speak. That's enough." 1 year later, he proposed. They were in the garden behind the center, under a falling mist of cherry blossoms. He knelt quietly, placed her hand over the velvet box, and whispered, "You've shown me more than anyone with eyes ever has. Will you let me show you the world I want to build with you?" Tears slipped down her cheeks. She said yes. Their wedding was private, small, music instead of vows, laughter instead of toasts. She wore a dress with tiny bells sewn into the hem so she could feel her own steps as she walked toward him. Everything seemed perfect until the first night. That night, in the lavish suite of a luxury hotel, Daniel stood stiffly by the window. The city glowed behind him. Elena sat on the edge of the bed, running her fingers along the embroidered quilt. "It's quiet," she said gently. "Are you okay?" He didn't answer. She tilted her head. "Daniel," then came the words that hit like a slap. "I don't know if I can do this." Her heart stopped. "Do what?" He turned slowly. His voice was cold, distant. "You're amazing, Elena. But this marriage, I thought I could ignore it, but I can't. The fact that you'll never see me, that I'll never get to share moments like everyone else. Eye contact, a smile, a look across the room. You'll never really know me." She blinked. "I know you better than anyone. You know parts of me," he said, his voice rising. "But I'm not sure it's enough." Silence. She stood, steady, dignified. "I gave you everything," she said quietly, "without ever seeing you. I trusted what I heard, what I felt. I saw you through the person you showed me, and maybe that was the problem." He muttered. She didn't speak again. She turned, slowly walked to the couch in the corner, wrapped herself in the shawl her mother once gave her, and whispered, "Sleep well, Daniel." He didn't sleep at all. The next morning, she was gone. What happened next broke headlines. But before we get there, let's pause for a moment. Imagine you were Elena. Would you ever forgive someone who said those words to you on your wedding night? Could you? What Daniel didn't realize then, what he couldn't grasp in that moment of fear and pride, was that kindness, like Elena's, doesn't fade. It doesn't vanish. It transforms. She didn't call him, didn't text. She returned to her work, her students, her music. But something inside her had changed. She smiled a little less, played a little softer, still kind, still warm, but dimmer. Daniel, on the other hand, spiraled. His business partners noticed. He skipped meetings, forgot appointments. He stopped flying. He sat alone in his penthouse, watching old videos of her playing piano, videos he had asked the center to send him months ago. Then, one afternoon, he received a letter, handwritten, delivered by the director of the center. It read, "To love someone, you must be willing to see past what is missing and look at what is present. You chose to walk away from what was real. I choose to walk forward with kindness still, but without you. No signature." But he knew. Daniel broke down, and then he disappeared. For weeks, no one heard from him, until suddenly, one rainy Sunday morning, Elena received a message, a delivery. A small girl stood at her door with a letter and a music box. The letter read, "Come to the address engraved in the box. No obligations, no promises, just trust your ears again." The box played a melody, her melody, the one she had written at 13, a tune she never recorded, a tune Daniel had begged her to hum once, years ago, and she had whispered for only him. Her hands shook, and with trembling fingers, she packed her cane, her coat, and stepped out the door. The rain was light, but steady. Each drop on Elena's coat felt like a soft drumbeat, echoing the rhythm of her unsure heart. She followed the address engraved beneath the music box, her own melody guiding her step by step. There were no expectations in her mind, only questions. What did Daniel want now? Another apology? Closure? Or just redemption? Her cane tapped against cobblestone as she approached the gate. The scent of wet grass and old wood filled the air. Then she heard the children laughing, music playing in the distance, and somewhere in between, her melody played by a full orchestra. She froze. A man approached. Not Daniel. A caretaker. "You must be Miss Elena," he said kindly. "He's been waiting for you." "Who?" she asked, even though she already knew. The man took her hand gently and led her forward. They walked into a courtyard surrounded by old brick buildings. The scent of fresh paint lingered. Trees swayed gently. Dozens of children played in the field, some blind, some deaf, some in wheelchairs, all laughing, all included. From the steps of the building rose the music. Instruments, laughter, learning. The plaque near the main entrance read, "The Elena Matthews Center for Musical Healing, a place where all can be heard." Her heart stopped. He built this. she whispered. He's been here every day, the man replied, volunteering, teaching, learning sign language, cleaning floors, painting rooms, waiting. She slowly walked toward the door, the music growing louder. Her hand brushed against the wood, then the brass knob. She stepped inside, and there he was, Daniel. No longer in his $1,000 suit, just a simple sweater, worn jeans, a smudge of paint on his sleeve, sitting on the floor, beside a child, helping her press piano keys gently. He looked up, froze. Elena. He breathed. The room went silent. She tilted her head. I heard the music. He stood slowly unsure. You came. She took a deep breath. Why? He walked toward her but kept his distance. Because I needed to change, he said. I thought I understood love. I thought your blindness was the barrier. But it wasn't. I was the barrier. My pride. My fear. You saw me, Elena. And I couldn't handle it. She said nothing. I watched your videos every night, he continued. I listened to your song over and over. Then I found the kids you taught. I spoke to them, learned from them. They told me what you never did, how you made them feel visible, even when the world ignored them. And I realized I wanted to build something with meaning. So I started with this. She stepped forward slowly, the room filled with breathless anticipation. You did all this for me? He shook his head gently. No, because of you. You showed me what kindness looks like, what love really is. And now I want to live like that. Even if you never take me back. A tear rolled down her cheek. Why now? She whispered. Because I couldn't bear the idea that I broke the one heart that loved me for who I am. He looked down. And if you walk away again, I'll still be here. Still building. Still trying. The children clapped quietly. One little girl tugged at Elena's sleeve. Miss Elena, she said shyly, can you play the big piano? Daniel told us your music feels like magic. Elena smiled faintly. Only if Daniel plays with me. His eyes widened. You want me to? She nodded. I taught you once. Let's see what you remember. They sat at the piano, two benches side by side. Her hand found his, warm, real. And for the first time since that night, forgiveness bloomed. The keys danced beneath their touch. The children swayed. Laughter returned. And in that moment, the past dissolved. Later, under a tree in the courtyard, they sat together, just the two of them. You've changed, she said quietly. I'm still changing, he replied. Because of you. You hurt me deeply. I know. You shattered something that night. I'll spend my life rebuilding it, whether you're beside me or not. She was silent for a long moment. Then, softly, she whispered, tell me what the trees look like today. He blinked. I want to hear them through your eyes. He looked up, voice shaking. The leaves are yellow, but not bright, like golden paper touched by sun. The branches curve gently, almost like hands reaching down. And the sky, it's painted gray but soft, like a quiet sadness that hasn't yet turned to rain. She smiled. That's beautiful. That's you, he said. You helped me see like that. He pulled something from his pocket. A small velvet box, not another proposal, she teased, half laughing. He opened it. Inside wasn't a ring but a pendant, a gold treble clef wrapped around a tiny rose. It's not a promise, he said. It's a reminder that your music saved me, that even in blindness, you led me to light. She reached out, fingers brushing the charm. It's lovely. He placed it gently around her neck. In the days that followed, Elena returned again and again, not because she had forgiven everything, but because she saw change. She saw humility. She saw a man becoming the one she believed he could be. Daniel, for his part, didn't push. He let her take the lead, let her teach him again, let the children be their bridge. And slowly, a new love began to form, not based on illusion or fairy tales, but on truth, on kindness, on hope.